Greetings and blessings wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Knoll, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I'm showing off my new glasses and it's reflecting. I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray every day that each and every one of you will accept and receive the blessings, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe, and that you will continue to share it as you yourself experience it and learn it. Now, with that said, this particular subject is one that's been sitting on the back burners for a little while. And I get little kicks to get me started to do some of these subjects. And sometimes I feel like I just don't have enough information to discuss it. And so this is sort of a just not necessarily a rambling or a rant, but a couple of hypothetical things and what we tend to realize or understand or think we understand in the realm of physics and time and space and the space time continuum and kind of sort of that kind of thing. And so the title of this is Space Creates Distance, which creates time. So, for example, we can't all live on top of something. I mean, if wherever you live in your neighborhood, it's going to be a couple of blocks or so, or more. Like for me, it's 7 miles to go to the store. But so sometimes it takes 5 minutes for somebody to go a couple of blocks as it takes me to go 7 miles into town. So the distance is not necessarily how much time does it take. And time that is not necessarily related to the distance. Now, I'm going to relate to like 3D time and like going to the store and little simple things like that into what about space out yonder kind of time. So if we're going to, I'm always watching old sci-fi movies and stuff, and everything is rocket powered. There have been some hyperdrive kind of things thrown into some of this. Even the older sci-fi, there was electromagnetical kind of devices. The Japanese were very inventive with some of their stories and techniques and what they thought. They've been on to stuff for a long time, where where Americans just have always stuck with rockets. Okay, just as an example. So now, with that said, though, if we want to go to the moon, now, if we actually went to the moon the way they say we did, with all the radiations and so forth, would they have come back in that little tin can, looking like a baked potato that's been in a microwave too long? Now, I'm just asking that question to the general universe out there because of all the X-rays and cosmic rays and so forth. And they say, well, we couldn't really get to the moon now. We don't have enough protection for our astronauts. So they sent John Glenn and them folks up there, if they actually did that, and exposed them to all that. So, but in that there is distance and there is time. So now to get somewhere, in the general physics arena, you always throw in velocity. So how fast are you going? Dictates how fast you can cover a specified distance in a certain amount of time, t. Okay, so I'm not going to get into a big discussion about the math of this, but I have several physics books upstairs in my library, and you contemplate this because how can you figure out the trajectory of a bullet? Let's say there's these snipers that can shoot from a quarter mile away, or longer. They can fire a gun a long way, and they know the distance, speed, and the airspeed, and all this other kind of stuff. And they're talented in what they know how to do this. But with all of that said, though, what does that have to do relative to time? Now, this subject come up 2 weeks ago or a week ago or so, when everybody's clocks went backwards, except mine. Those here in the house, I refuse to move forward in the spring. So I have created my own space-time continuum here, okay? In that, in my reality, my time is always, Eastern time, regular time, no forward, backward jumping for me. So I've always looked at everybody else, even in my own time zone, my neighbors that live up the road. I'm a self proclaimed sovereignty down here, and my time it doesn't move forward or switch back. So everybody else is in a different time zone in my reality. Now, what does that have to do with our space time? Well, in my space time, you can't fool with my space time because I'm in control of it as much as I possibly can be. In my time, it takes me X amount of minutes on my clock to get to a certain destination. Now, what if we're out in space? Now, what if distance isn't an issue? Does that mean time isn't an issue? So, for example, if we could go through a some kind of a warp or a portal and we would skip the distance at a specific speed, then we would also obviously skip the time. So, my question would be to expound upon this. Did we actually skip the time, or did we just move so fast through whatever device or wormhole or whatever to get to that point? It's only the distance of space that requires time. If there is no distance, then where's the time? So, but now also one could say you could sit still. Now, Buddha and some of the older um, shamans and, meditators and monks and so forth, a lot of different ideas on this particular thing. In other words, if you sit still long enough, will the world catch up with you? Or, will the world slow down? Or if you sit and meditate in one spot for a long time, does time change for you? Now, here's an interesting but rather kind of creepy little thing. People who've been incarcerated for a long time, men and women, but there are more men incarcerated than women, although that is rising. Um, the idea, though, that someone who's been in prison for 15 years may not show much age, but as soon as they get out of prison and within 6 months to a year, they have aged. It's almost like they were in a time bubble. And having been in prison, I get what that feels like. Every day's the same, nothing changes. And time, it kind of seems to stand still, but it's always going on. Time is always moving. The guards are always locking and unlocking doors. As a trustee, I was always going to the kitchen. So there was movement, but within a very confined area. And within that confined area, my time was screwed up because we didn't really even know daytime, nighttime, because we were in prison and we didn't have bars to look out on the street, but there was light that came in the windows on the catwalks from the jail cells. So we could tell it was day or night, but not what time it was, and you weren't allowed to have a watch. So when lockdown came, you were able to tell time by what was going on in the jail. In other words, the trustees came up at a certain time. There was clinking and doors and cells being opened and closed. So in the time space, it didn't seem like time was moving at all. And nighttime, you're in a prison, a lot of people snoring. It's a creepy place to be, but yet it's your home. And all this concrete and steel, there's no warmth there at all. Your bunk is steel, everything around you is steel or concrete. And so this idea that, there's no warmth of Mother Earth, there's nothing green, there's nothing that resembles. So your brain is in a stymied position. But when I got out of jail and trying to get back, quote, into society, and this was only after being in jail for a year, it was such an adjustment. So, but people who've been in for 15, 20 years get out, they look younger than some of their counterparts. But again, within a certain amount of time, they age. Now, what's that got to do with this space and distance and time? Well, in jail, you have a limited space, even though you spend a long time. So, but the brain and even your physical features are put in a sort of a suspended animation. But when you get back out in the real world, it's almost like the body speeds up to everybody else's time frame. And when it does, people that had, mildly gray hair, their beards turn white and their hair turns white, wrinkles appear, and it's like the picture that they took when they got out and 8 months later ain't the same. You go, who is this person over here? Oh my God, they've aged so drastically. There are people who have studied this. It's an interesting insight. Now, only having been in there a year, I can only discuss it in that realm of time. But having meditated and having lived a hermit's life here for the last 4 or 5 years down here, and I go out, I socialize with people, but not like I used to. So there's a lot of time here on the farm, and a lot of times until recently, it was by myself. So my concept of time, and because I didn't go anywhere, there was no distance. Okay, so it is important this because anywhere I go, when I leave my house, there's distance involved, which also equals time. How long is it going to take me to get to Thomasville or to Moultrie or to Meigs or wherever I'm going? And so the distance obviously equals time. Now, as far as what about outer space? So if we consider that outer space is just, and it's not empty, by the way, that's one of the things. There are certain things about outer space and things and stuff that there are a lot of people who just refuse to accept that there's more out there than what any of these scientists are trying to speculate. They have to really, really, really get a better thinking cap on and be able to honestly accept that there are some things they really don't know. And they're speculating on and building theories upon theories when they haven't proven any of them hardly because they're still theory. If they said, well, this is scientific fact, no, they're still, but those facts are based on theories. And many of these things still haven't been proven. Thus, about the time space. So we almost seen the thing where, you can fold time. All right, what if you don't have to fold time? What if the idea of time doesn't exist? What if you took time out of the equation? So now you're left with distance. Does distance matter if time isn't involved? And you go, what are you talking about? Well, what they're trying to say is they fold the distance. So instead of going this way, they've moved space time and folded it over. So now the distance is really small. Well, now it's still a distance, isn't it? But now also the time is shorter because the distance is shorter. So these things are related up to a point. Now, I want you to speculate in that cosmic rays and things, some travel faster, some are slower. And what's behind them? What's moving it? Is it the fuel behind it, if you will? And for example, say the solar rays that are coming from us, it's 93 million miles roughly from here to the sun. It's speculated, and it takes X amount of time for certain X-rays, certain other rays to reach us from the solar flares. Sometimes there's a day or two or a few hours. Sometimes some of them hit at us almost immediately within minutes. So those rays are traveling. Now it's the same distance, 93,000 miles. So is there something in space that if there's a solar flare, but some radiation hits us almost immediately, with it an hour or so, sometimes minutes, or that it takes a couple of days for the other ones to kind of like sneak up? It's the same distance, but the time isn't. Now, okay, it's the velocity, but if it goes pop on the sun, shouldn't everything kind of have the same velocity behind it to push it through space? Is space, are some of these X-rays or whatever that are coming off of the sun, are some of these solar rays heavier? Okay, so that it literally takes them more time to get through space. That would sort of make sense. But if space has no weight, if space is a vacuum, then there shouldn't be affected. But so I wish to offer for your consideration, why do certain X-rays, whatever, reach the Earth at different times from the same event? Same distance, space stuff in between. I know it's different particles. So, but in this thinking about, well, we can't go any faster than the speed of light. Well, how do you know? Um, and then a lot of the old sci-fi movies, they had FTL engines. And for the longest time, I was like, FTL, FTL, FTL. Oh, faster than light. So the concept of that we can go from here to there quickly. I've seen things appear and disappear. I've seen things shoot across the sky that weren't meteors, but they were like rather taking off and leaving the planet. And so these things are flying. I mean, they're all in patooties, you know. We don't have rockets that go this fast that most of us are aware of. So, but in the distance and time, there's something else that's been modified here, and that's velocity. Well, of course, you know, we got to get up to a certain amount of speed. Hey, Mary Wins, how are you? Breaking Dawn, I know you're out there in the background hanging out. Thank you. This is just an obscure discussion, but we all think we understand what time is. Now, why do they around the world want everybody to leap forward in the spring and fall back in the fall? It messes with everybody's equilibrium except mine anymore. I quit playing their game. I play my own game. I create my own uh, matrix, if you will, in this. In that, boy, there's a lot of lag. Bob, let's offer some coffee to Bob. Hi there, Rose. Is that you, Rose? Is that you? Yes. How about that? I've got a monocle. To Bob and all the other AI out there, have some coffee with us. Boy, there's some jumping and skagging going on right now. I can tell. But anyway, so not that I have an answer to any of this time or space thing. It's that what I want to bring to the table is that only in certain circles are some of these things being considered. Now, for example, for those of us who have astral projected, or that we've had these deja vu moments, or that I've been here before. What if we were there in another realm and popped back into this reality and we looked around and said, is that a deja vu moment? Have I been there before? Or is it in another reality and I'm sharing it? So if there's a parallel universe, for example, what's the distance between them? Is there space between dimensions? Well, if I just can't reach over there and touch it, there must be something between me and it, or us and them, or something. And so is it distance? Is it time? Well, if we're in a parallel universe and things are going on kind of sort of simultaneously, then what is separating us? Is it distance? Is it time? If it's a parallel universe, aren't we going along in the same basic directions? We make different changes and so forth. But so what's between us? Is it space? Is it as simple as a thought difference, which could put us from this universe into another parallel universe, or another parallel universe that's parallel to that one, but maybe not parallel to this one? So, in speaking of being able to travel through space and time and all that, in space, time changes because time is only relative to this planet. Okay. The 24-hour thing, only good here. On Mars, it's different because of the rotation of the planet. On Venus, different rotation of the planet. On Mercury, different. It rotates every so it like takes one of its years, like 88 days, to rotate, or longer. I was amazed. I was like, wow, it takes a long time for a day there because it rotates so slowly. So what does time mean there? You know what I mean? Well, in Earth hours. Well, what about Jupiter? Jupiter's a huge planet, and it's spinning differently than the Earth. So time isn't going to be the same there. Now, does it have to do with distance? Well, it has to do with the size of the planet. And why is this even a subject for discussion? Well, because the way these scientists figure it, it all fits in this nice little box. And that's where the problem goes awry. They've put it in terms. They've put it in hypothesis. Unless they ain't told us yet, which is probably true, an FTL engine, or faster than light engine, isn't possible with current physics and the box that they create. So if we want to travel to the stars or to Mars, wouldn't it be better to stop using rockets and try to figure out how to use a different technology? Somehow that it ain't about a rocket. It ain't about blasting off. It may be a matter of lifting. There's many of us who've seen too many anomalies of weird craft leaving this planet and going, whoa, how did that do that? I mean, you see something there and then you watch it go, whoop, up it goes. There's video, there's pictures, there's all kinds of stuff. Over in Israel, some of those blue light phenomenon that were coming down, you'd see a vehicle that was there, then all of a sudden there would just be a flame and a whoosh and off it'd go. If you've seen any of the videos where some of the rockets that got shot up, one of them, and more than one, but I'll just say one of them in Florida, I think it was a SpaceX or something, or a NASA thing, and then one of them in Moscow. And in a couple of the frames, you can actually see a UFO, something. It's unidentified, so it is a UFO in that frame. And it literally shoots at the rock as it takes off and blows it up. I've seen one spaceship blow up another myself, looking up overhead here at the house several years ago. And you talk about being surprised. So, and these things are popping in and out like boing, dum, boing, dum. Like, here I am. Now I'm not. And I'm traveling from here to there really fast. It's like a blink of an eye and it's moved. So there must be another reality. But when you think about the physics, now the applied physics is good for planet Earth, but it doesn't work in the rest of the universe. We must admit this. And the physicists and all these other folks, they will argue with you until your eyelashes fall off, until your eyebrows turn aged and decrepit, and your forehead wants to cave in, to the point that no, they know what they know and they're right. It's all about an equation. My point is, their equation is good in our earthly 3D space time, but may not apply to the rest of the universe, period. And it works here, but when we try to, apply it in any other place, it's not going to work the same way. And these folks they're going to be in for. They've already had some surprises with crashes on Mars and things and stuff and blah. And there are some critters up there that are going, "Hey, we told you not to come back here, didn't we?" On these other planets and things. We've had several things get knocked out of the sky, and the Chinese had some things that I think there was an area of the moon, and it was like everything was going good, and then their spaceship blew up. What was on the moon that could, or on the rocket that would potentially blow up a lunar landing by another country. Somebody down there like was shooting up, well, like shooting skeet. There are these little clay things that go flying in the sky, and you shoot at them rather than a bird. Clay pigeon. And so it's like, so are the folks on the moon having target practice with not just Chinese landing vehicles, but anybody's? But so the space time and all of this that they discuss, I say normal science. And you really got to go digging, and you have to thinking, well, wait a minute, would this really work in another area? I mean, I created my own space-time place here in the house simply by refusing to move forward and backwards with the rest of mankind during, the spring forward, fall back. And I honestly, I didn't go these last 2 years that I've tried this experience. I've not had any lag or, oh, I jumped forward or adjustment to time because I'm still on my time. Now, to some folks, it may be silly. Well, why everybody else is on this? Yeah, but it's my time. I'm connected to it. In my realm, in my house, in my surroundings, I come home and this is my place. This is my time. This is my environment. And so here is where I get rejuvenated and everything. Out there is, I got to deal with the rest of the frickin' world. And that's okay. But we reconsider, well, if it wasn't so far to me to travel, then it wouldn't take me as much time. However, if I could go FTL, faster than light, and blink there, it doesn't matter about distance, and time isn't a factor. So in this conversation, it's more about, before you just consider that, well, this is the science and this is what it is and nothing else can exist. I would beg your pardon to consider, please, this only holds true for here. There are other realms, there are other dimensions. Now, you've seen videos. If you haven't, go back and check. I did orbs in Ohio. I've done orbs on the Flint River. Now, they exist in their own space-time because I've taken pictures, and I discussed this in a previous video today. And they exist in their own time frame, although they live in my world. But I've taken pictures 30 seconds apart, and whereas there's this whole cloud of orbs, 30 seconds later, you can't, they're there for 2 or 3 frames, and then all of a sudden, they're gone. They have disappeared. Now, did they just float away, or did they just poof away? Or are they traveling so quickly that, and I've seen the phenomenon myself, and it's like they just go, and they're there. It's almost like there is no propulsion. They're just in the next spot. They just are there. They just don't realize that distance is a point of factor. They just go from here to wherever they want to that quickly. So then that makes me stop and think about what the shamans have taught for thousands and thousands of years. Can we project our thought to other places? For those folks who have dealt with, forward looking and astral projection, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you will have experienced some type of, I was someplace else. I know I felt it, whether it be in a dream realm or a near-death experience or any type of meditation or something, and you knew you were safe within yourself, but your reality was somewhere else. So you got there in the blink of an eye. So did distance matter? No. Did time matter? No. So that right there is why some scientists say, well, then astral projection can't really exist because something's in the house. Did y'all just see something go by? I did. Okay, it's all right. A lot of spirit beings around tonight for some reason. Must be talking about them. Interesting. Got some visitors in the house tonight, folks. And keep an eye on the screen if you're watching. If you're just listening, well, then blessings to you. Mary Wins, Rose Sweet, the Millie Cow. I think I'm not longer daylight savings. I do want to check what y'all are feeling about this subject. I know it's really strange and obscure. I get that. I'm not doing daylight savings, losing time, and being off sync with the world for 6 months would be more confusing and difficult than adjusting to my sleep twice a year. Mary Wynn says they're moving around. Yeah, there's something moving around out here. Rose Sweet says outside time, inside time is based on your speed cycle wave form of self-awareness. The singularity with no electrical resistance, so your light is burning hot with fire soul furnace to accelerate the voltage. But here's the thing, though, and I agree with that, Rose, but here's something else to consider. With a thought, I can send a prayer. With a thought, I have received energy and messages from other beings, from you folk. You folk has sent me, Breaking Dawn. There are times when we have the same thought and we go, oh, okay. But so there's no change in anything. It's simply in the quantum. And we both experienced it. It's not an exchange. I never feel, well, wait. Let me back that up before I say never. I rarely ever get like an electrical feeling when I'm getting downloads. They just appear, and they can appear simultaneously to multiple people. So how is this happening? Is there any, quote, energy actually driving it? Or does it simply exist? So in the shaman realm of things can exist. And when we understand that they exist, and that we could, once we understand what their frequency or what they look like, it's like walking through a field of wildflowers. You just go, oh, those are pretty. But did you know that some of them may be healing, some of them may be poisonous, and some of them actually may have value? If they're healing, it's valuable. But, so if you don't know what you're looking at, so in the spirit realm and in the understanding of things, you could walk right by a pile of gold and you wouldn't know it because you weren't aware. So awareness of things. So, but in this realm of, wait a minute, of astral projection, you can pop to another place and back. I have popped back into my body so quickly, it hurts. But the idea, though, that, wait a minute, that's actually only a thought away. A thought. So what if a group of people in a specially designed ship took everyone's thoughts, okay? Here's just a weird sci-fi. I claim rights if anybody writes a story about this. But to the point, though, everybody focuses on the place. And you just end up there. You just go there. Wait a minute. Hang on. Let me say that again. What if all of us just said, you know what? I'm tired of this planet. We're all going to think of the same place, Nirvana, some kind of, valley of the something, paradise, whatever, Eden. Let's all think of the same spot and go there. Just not just mind, but just clean. Let's just decide to go. Well, what if you had a mechanism that used our psi energy, our spirit energy, our soul energy, and we didn't necessarily have to focus it, but if we all thought about one thought of where we all wanted to go in this specially designed ship, couldn't we just get there? Wouldn't we just like pop out of this existence and show up in another? Well, is that possible? I've seen things appear in the sky and then disappear in the sky. I know that it's possible because I've witnessed it. So, but how'd they do that? Was it because everybody in the spaceship said, okay, we're all going to Altair. Everybody put your little thinky thinking cap on and think of home, and we're there. It's as plausible as anything else, because we've already proven that we can see people through our astral projection at in real time. Parents can feel when their children or other folks, you're very closely connected to someone passes, someone goes, oh my God, there's something happened in the forest. And then you knew that, someone had passed away, or they were in a car accident. I mean, there are millions of stories about that. People happen every day. And so we must be connected. So if we take that and go, well, you know what, let's just accept that does exist. Instant thought travels. It doesn't matter the distance. If it's projected to someone, you don't have to climb the stairs. You ain't got to get in a car. You ain't got to get in a spaceship and go somewhere. You think it, and then you go, and boom, you're just there. So you think of your destination. So the more energy that it would require, but if we can do it astrally, couldn't we all get together and jump in the same spaceship, like a family wants to go on a vacation? Come on, everybody, let's get in the sphere of truth and all focus we're going on a vacation. So we get in this big silver ball or whatever. We get in this big silver ball, and we get in there nice and comfortable and take all our luggage and get in there. And we all just focus on, Disney World on planet 9, and ding, we're all there, and they've got a special place for us to land because we've sent reservations. So we've got a predestination already in our thought process. So we don't have to think about where we're going. We just end up there. Is that possible? We've already experienced these other types of realms and dimensions and so forth. Hey, Dark Truth. Let me see what y'all are chatting about up here. Greetings. Yep. Michelle. Hey, David. Sorry I'm late. You're never late. Much love, everybody. So I know this is a very obscure conversation. Rose Sweet, outside time, inside time, based on your speed cycle. I read that before. Energy harvesting, psychic control over what humanity experiences can be easily programmed. A speed test. The speed we process incoming communication signals, energy, what we translate that as energy. That's a mouthful, but yes, Rose Sweet, I would agree with that. But now let's think about this. Our own psychic control. Now I've talked about it in other videos, and I'll keep talking about it. Is to how much energy and how much power, but how much energy does it take to have a thought? I mean, I just had one right there, but how much energy did it take? So if I can send a thought into the quantum, into the universe, and whoever is out there gets it almost instantaneously, then how much energy did it require to send that thought? The energy in a molecule? Or did I actually use energy, or just rearrange energy? In other words, I just traded some energy for some energy. Well, in the exchange, isn't there energy lost or gained? I mean, that's part of the rules of physics. If you've got a cart with roller bearings in it, rolls real easy, and you push it down the hill, it'll go down the hill, but it will only pick up a certain amount of speed because there's friction with the tires on the ground. There's the roller bearings and the axle and how fast they can. There's the initial inertia, the slope of the angle. There are all these things, but there are limiting factors. So, not everything that goes downhill is going to keep gaining speed and is going to you know, a- achieve some type of escape velocity. But with a thought or an idea, and I've been in brainstorming sessions with cast and crew, we're trying to figure out a problem, and the next thing you know, everybody you can see it, 3 or 4 people go boing, and we all have the same idea or very similar all at the same time. So, but was there any energy exchanged? Was there any distance covered? Well, between us, but it was almost simultaneously. So, does distance matter in this? No. Does speed matter? Or velocity? Well, but if the thought travels so quickly that there is, quote, no speed involved, it's just there is no actual, quote, velocity. I send forth a thought, but am I actually rowing a kayak? Am I paddling to push this thought into the universe? Or do I just let it fly? You know what I mean? Does what requires more energy over something? Or does sending a thought require energy? How much energy do you wish to put out that would require an equal or opposite amount of energy if I wish to put forth a physical thought that I want the whole planet to heal? Oh, holy shit, what a load of energy that would take, right? So, but as a collective, that's why we can work together with things. Because when we sync ourselves with a similar thoughts, League of Like-Minded Beings, don't want y'all to forget that. When you achieve that certain status of thought, where everything is syncing with everyone, very similar, very at the same time. I watch the chat room, and there are a lot of people having very similar thoughts sometimes. And it's like, are y'all connected or what? Do you believe this shit works? Yes or no? Raise your hand. I think so, because y'all are having similar thoughts. What is different is your situation. It's where you grew up, it's your surroundings, it's your society, it's where you live, okay? But everything else will be like very similar, and it'll have the same kind of resonance. Well, I feel that this really works, and it's really close, but it's only our differences, quote, of opinion, where we live, that affects. Damn, there's a shitload of ringing going on over here. Um, mm, but if we allow ourselves to understand this, holy crap. So I just sent a bunch of thoughts out into the universe. Um, how many drops of energy did I use? Did it consume the same amount of energy as me walking over to the fence line and getting logs and bringing them back over here? In my realm, oh hell no. I'd rather sit here and send out thoughts. But if you sit and send out thoughts all the time, that is tiring as well, but in a psychically different kind of way. That's Breaking Dawn over here, by the way. Yes, it's an evil spirit hanging out in the. There was some that went by, though, but she came down the stairs over on this side. But anyway, y'all go, what the hell is that back there? Yeah. But anyway, but I wanted to put forth this idea. Do you really believe their idea of a space-time? Do you really think that, well, this can't exist, or that, there are possibilities that we need to accept that do exist? Stop and think for a second. Allow the thought to pass into you. Oh, holy crap. It is instantaneous. Oh, holy crap. It requires very little energy when you just understand that it's there and you use it. Oh, holy crap. We all have this capability. And if we, not as a hive mind now, but as a focused mind, different, we all decide free will, we're going to think this way for a minute. Boom. Can we all be in another alternate reality? I don't know. We keep trying. There's the 144,000 that do mass meditations. There was one here for 11/11, and it's not that I don't want to actively participate. A lot of times I just freaking forget, but I put my prayer forward to when they're going to um, meditate. So I tell myself on the 11th, I'm going to meditate and send a prayer with the mass meditation group 2 days or 3 days or a week or a month or whatever it is ahead of time. So I already put forth my intentions. So if I were to somehow not be able to actively participate in an active meditation group, I have sent my intent forward in time to be there for me. It's the thought. How much energy did it take? I put it with positive intent into the quantum. So it's sort of like you get to vote early. It's like, voting before the day kind of thing. So it's like, well, you can't really do that, can you? Why not? I can't pre-program, like I said in a previous video. I can't build a subroutine that says, okay, on 11/11 of this year or of any year, I could program it that way if I want. On 11/11 of any year, I'm going to send forth positive energy against those forces that may try to use that 11/11 to the detriment of humankind, universal being, something. But the idea, though, that why can't I send it forward? Why can't I preload my pictures into the cloud, as it were? Why not? If we all think forward and say, well, you know what? And I do believe that there was a storm that was brewing off the coast of in the Atlantic. It may have been this year, but I think it was last. And it really looked like it was going to be a mean mofo. You know what I mean? And a bunch of us said, no, we're going to turn this thing. Now, whether we actually did or not, it wasn't near as bad as it could have been. All right. So did we actually have an effect on that? I'm not sure, but I know that it wasn't as bad. Now, the one that came through here, oh, we prayed that some bitch would just not hit here, but it's there were other powers that wanted that hurricane to come through here. And I've got there are at least 50 trees down on my property from the storms last year. At least in one area, there's 15 trees. So, but sometimes things just have to happen. And one could say it was the hand of God that came down and tore down some of these 200-300-year-old oak trees down in my swamp. But maybe it's so that a new growth of something would come up. Maybe it's so that new life could spring forth from where those oak trees came down. I'd have been way too chicken to cut those trees down myself to open an area up on my own property. I would have let those trees stay. But now the storms took them down. I ain't got a choice except to cut them and move them and maybe help rebuild the land. But there are going to be grasses and shrubs and trees that grow up where this was basically a shrouded, heavy, heavily sheltered with giant old oak trees. Now it's going to be open and plenty of sunshine. And so nature's going to change. Nature changed it. It took down the trees. But again, was there time and distance involved? But the reality's been changed. Time is a factor because it was a year ago the hurricane came through. And in that time, there are already things that have started to grow because sunlight can now get to the bottom of get to the understory down to the ground. So things have already started to evolve. So one could say, well, that's a horrible incident. Was it? Or was it Mother Earth and the land calling out saying, hey, we got to make a few changes here? For whatever reason, we need to make a few changes here. So there were storms and tornadoes and rain or no rain. It rained early this morning, but we're still in a drought condition down here. I mean, our well here is really low. We got plenty of water, but it's really low, and I ain't going out. Can't go out there and water the garden. That ain't happening. But we have enough for basic necessities, and I've got stored water. So, but with that said, though, South Georgia is still in a drought, even after the rain and the this and the that, and other people are flooded. Not us down here. We're in a drought condition. So, but at the same point, I put out buckets, save rainwater. I rinsed out the this, I used the that. I watered the plants with some of the rainwater. Um, you know, versus using well water on to water the plants with. I forgot to put out buckets last night, but anyway. But to the point though, we're supposed to have rain in another couple of days, so I've got a couple buckets I put out for watering the plants in the house and things, and for various other sundry things, or for washing out a thing or whatever. Um, but to the point though, in our reality, if we understand more than what they tell us, you just say, well, that's their theory. That's a cool theory. But all you have to do is say, but there may be more to the story than any of us are aware of. It doesn't mean that they're wrong. They're very correct with many of their things, but it only works in our reality. Now, they've sent things to the stars and stuff, and I scratch my head and I often wonder, did they really? Because there's stuff out in space, little tiny rocks, microparticles, and things. They send these rockets out there for months, years on end. Well, it's going to go by Uranus. Everybody bend over. Let's take a picture. It's going to, the spaceship is going to fly by Uranus. Bend over, folks. Are we really looking at it? Seriously? Did that spacecraft really make it out there all those millions of miles without picking up one little particle of space dust as fast as it's traveling? It went all that way and not a freaking thing touched it, hit it, or otherwise banged into it. Just saying. Where else in the universe can you go? We know there's stuff into outer space. We know that there are cosmic energies that could blow a tiny spacecraft off course if it affects the entire magnetosphere of the planet. Here's this tiny little gizmo floating out in space, but it stays on course for years. And the pictures they send back always have the little thing at the bottom, artist rendition. What's a picture with artist rendition? Are you sure it was a picture then? Do we actually know we're getting pictures? Are they hoodwinking us all the way through? I love astronomy. I've seen through things with my own eyes through my telescope, and I can't deny. Listen, I've seen the moons around Jupiter. Okay, I don't need anybody else to tell me they exist. I've seen the rings of Saturn myself with a telescope. I know they exist. I don't have to, an artist rendition. Well, okay. But I know they exist. This other stuff, I'm going to take a tin can and throw this sumbitch into space. And I'm just going to send it with enough trajectory. It's going to make it all the way to Mars using 3D technology and theories in a space-time continuum of distance, and we're going to get it right every time? Seriously? We're going to get it right? Well, Mariner 2, yay, and ooh, we made it to Saturn again. Ooh, the flyby pictures. I was there. I was like, ooh, let me see. And then something said, wait a minute. Did they really fly a satellite, honest to God, by there? Wait. Wait, hang on. We can't go out in the night sky without seeing stuff falling in. So the odds of something hitting the spacecraft in quote, deep space where nothing else lives, are making it those millions of miles out of our solar system without getting hit by anything, I am less likely to believe it now than I used to. And excuse me, but we should reconsider what they're telling us. Why? Because millions of miles of distance and time create millions of opportunities for crap to go wrong. I mean, I've driven my truck 276,000 some odd miles, but I've had to do maintenance on her. She's had to have new tires, new brakes, a new clutch, new spark plugs, oil changes, gasoline. Um, but we're going to slingshot this spacecraft out into space, and it's going to fly through. It's going to fly through the space with the greatest of ease, like the daring young man on the flying trapeze. Bullshit. Did they really make it? I hope so, but the odds of nothing happening through all that distance, because space ain't empty, period. And so we need to consider the other paradigms where some folks will go, well, this is what scientists tell us all about space and time and how we're going to get there. We're going to go to Mars. Here we go again with the stupid ass rockets and Elon Musk. Get away from this stupid ass business of rockets. Where is the discussion about hyperdrives? Where is the discussion? Well, we may have a plasma drive, but you're going to shoot straight up into space. Years ago, NASA, if this was in Popular Mechanics or Popular Science or both, back in the 60s, 70s, and even into the 80s, when they were discussing alternatives for the space shuttle, they were going to, and I think it's like, why didn't y'all do this? It makes more sense to me to send something down a rail, gather up speed, go up the side of a mountain, like they shoot off airplanes off of aircraft carriers. They use steam-driven catapults. So instead of using rockets and all that fuel going straight up, it would be much more highly likely to use something that was shot off the planet and up a steep mountain using some other means than rocket fuel to get it up and with a trajectory high enough to then you kick on the engines. So you've already reached the potential altitude and distance with enough speed. You're not sitting there burning 1 million tons of fuel trying to move this far off the pad. So some of this stuff, I look at these rocketeers and go, you people are freaking brain dead. Reusable steam catapults, shove this thing up the side of a mountain at 200, 300, 400 miles an hour, and then kick on the rockets. Dumbass. You pick the lowest spot on Earth, sea level, and to shoot a rocket into space. Why aren't they shooting these things off at 10,000 feet? They would have already been 10,000 feet higher. Why aren't they shooting them off from up there instead of down on sea level? And does any of this shit make sense to you? You know what I'm saying? They're doing stuff. We're supposed to be in the new age of things. So, but they're still talking about the same crummy ass space-time continuum. Blah, 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 blah. I was going to say system. It's their constant, whining and, we're going to do it this way. We're going to use a new rocket. Stop with the rocket crap. We've got turbofan engines. Catapult something up, flip on them big ass turbines, shoot us up in there, and then switch to a rocket. They developed this way back when. And so that, all right, but that gets you to outer space. But this idea of all these huge things with all this big rumbling and all these towers is moronic. I'm sorry, but these folks have no imagination. I mean, Werner von Braun had a good idea before World War II with the rocket stuff. Don't you think we should have learned a thing or two? We're pushing on 80 years since the war, since the invention of the damn things, and we still can only think of going straight up. What? There is no other alternative? Well, now I would also submit it's the only thing they're showing us or telling us. What if they actually do out in Area 51 or someplace actually shoot off rockets from 10,000 feet up? I mean, what's to say they really aren't doing the smart thing, but they have to show us dumbass, that sheeple out here. Well, look what we're still doing. We got, Cape Canaveral, Elon Musk, and we're going to go to Mars in a spaceship with rockets. What? Now, I got to say, there's one of these Netflix or Hulu or something about Mars. Now, I got to say that some of the things they came up with, I got to say, very inventive. My thought would have been that for the last 5 years, they should have been putting stuff into space so that it could be collected, built, and whatever fuel or whatever that may be possibly necessary would be sent up there on cargo loads, just up and down, up and down, up and down. But see, it doesn't make sense to use a rocket when we could use a space plane. Hydraulically shoot that SOB up into the sky. It could be a drone. It uses a limited amount of rocket to achieve orbit. Then it uses whatever it needs to dock, bay, and whatever, and then re-enter like a drone, like the little NASA space one that was up there for 2 or 3 years that came down. And they went, oh, NASA's had this up for the longest time. Looks like a little mini space shuttle, but it's a drone. What? Came in, zoom, landed, they refueled it, and somehow, I guess they sent it back up there. So they're doing this stuff already. They ain't showing it to us. They ain't telling us. But wouldn't it make much more sense? The distance, the time, the velocity, all this other kind of crap. But why not? I mean, think about it. I would love to go see something go rocket sledding across the desert and shoot up the side of a mountain. Would that not be cool? I mean, I've seen some rockets go up living in Florida, but I don't know. This other idea seems like it'd be really sweet too, Magnetics, they could it could be a carrier on a ceramic magnetic type of base, so there's no friction like the super duper trains that the Japanese have over there and other countries. But there's no friction, so you could send this thing, gain velocity, and shoot it into space, and it would just kind of leave it would leave its little buggy behind, or would be easily retrievable, so it could be reused. But this business with the rockets and landing them back, no, we should be flying back in. The space shuttle inherently had a decent idea. You send something out there, it comes back in, and you glide it in. That's the smartest thing, honestly, because unless you know about anti-grav so that you can hover and float down and not use any kind of propellant, as it were, but that's a whole nother story. And many of us have seen it. Many of us have experienced different types of magnetic phenomena. There's a lot of information out there about stuff. But what I wanted to just pop into our tiny little brains is that this idea of space and what's in it, it's not empty. I mean, I've got space between my ears, but that ain't even really empty. Although sometimes I wonder, today I just had a thought pop out of my head. Peking dog laughing about that one. But the idea, though, that with our thoughts, instantaneous, no energy. Now, why aren't we thinking along those terms? Well, wait a minute. I need a rocket to shoot off a thought into the ether. I'm going to send a prayer to my friend, but I'm going to have a drone to do it. I got to have rocket power to send my thought into the quantum area, into the wait, whoa, wait, hang on. How much energy does it take us? Now, one could say, if we send a message, aren't we actually kind of using the quantum to our benefit? So we're using quantum energy within our own brains, unbeknownst to us, thinking wise. So we swipe a little bit of the quantum and kind of rubber band it, twing, slingshot it back in. Because where else does this energy come from for us to reach into the quantum? It's quantum energy. It's the spirit realm. It is the ether. It's the astral realm. It's us. It's them. It's everything. And it's instantaneous. So if I can sit and send prayers out, meditate, yeah, my body's using a certain amount of energy to maintain itself. But does it take any energy to send a thought or to meditate? Are we using energy, or are we kind of sharing it? Or are we mixing our energy with the universe in such a way that there isn't any loss of energy? It simply switches place instantly. So can't we travel in space like that? If you stop and think what I've just discussed with you about this thought process, which is instantaneous, and Deborah can speak to this too, when we have thoughts come in, they're instant. It's like, boom, wait a minute. Somebody asked me a question, boom, the answer comes crashing in. Sometimes literally. Whoa, that was a hard one. And she's sitting over here laughing. Yeah, but it's true, ain't it? Yeah. Sometimes the answers come like smack. You go, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't you just send me a text? Did you have to drop a hammer on me for real? That was a big ass rock. I got your message. You tie a note to a rock and throw it through a window. Anyway, okay, it's an old, they did it in old Western movies, the sheriff gets hit in the head with the rock and some bitch says, sent me a message. Meet me out in the parking lot, me behind the horse stables, and wear your boots and we're going to shoot it out at sundown. Okay, so we can't see one another. Did you ever notice in some of them Westerns, all the people standing in the background, nobody dies? The guy don't get shot, bang, 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 bang. And there's people in the background. It's like, do these bullets just go so far and they just drop out of nobody gets hurt? I mean, I'm just saying, in the Old West, if I was standing behind anybody anywhere near, if somebody gets shot first and he's going down with a bullet, am I going to be standing on a freaking street watching these two idiots gun each other down? Maybe they did in the old days. But my thought is that how many bystanders got killed? They don't ever talk about that. I know I'm off the subject of time-space continuum, but I'm just like, but so we have these thoughts that are instantaneous. We have these warm fuzzies that we receive from the universe. We receive prayers from other people, and we can tell when we do. Many of us were like, wow, I'm thinking about somebody. You call them up and go, yeah, I sent you some energy today because I just felt like you needed it. Well, then how did they feel that you needed it? What told them in the quantum? Right? Breaking Dawn's like, yeah, mm-hmm. And it's not like she's agreeing with me. If we agree with the same thing that's coming out of the quantum, because our downloads are, she sees them slightly different than me, but they're very similar. So we have a little bit of differences of how we interpret it. Not a biggie, but the answers are basically the same. So that's what you need to focus on. But the energy, how much energy is expounded during that? I've astral projected and came back and went, that was nice, and not feel tired at all. Actually feel kind of relaxed, relieved, or whatever. Because a lot of times that when I did the astral projection, I went to a place of calm. So it's like, so when I got back, it was like, oh man, I was bathed in the spiritual light. Oh, it was wonderful. And many times it is. But the she's over here giggling at my antics. But to the point, it really is like, woo, that feels good. Be showered with all that kind of wonderful psychic energy when you're in your astral nudity. You know what I'm talking about? Because you can't wear clothes when you're there. It just, no, you know. Whoops, you're is that thing? Listen, it's cold up here in the astral plane, and so it shrunk. So don't look, Ethel. Never mind. My brain went sideways for a moment. I'm sorry. My brain went sideways for a moment, y'all. But to the we think astral plane. Well, what's it like? Well, I don't know. Just stop and pick a point. But the thing is that the energy that it takes to get there. How much energy does it take to meditate? None. It takes you to shut up and sit still and, allow yourself to be calm. Oh, well, that's releasing energy, but it doesn't take any energy. It's releasing stress so that you can hear the universal energy. So your receptors will pick up the universal energy. So you can feel the healing and the knowledge and accept and receive the healing from the universe. Thus, my prayers all the time. It's always there. It's always available. It's how we interpret it and how we use it or don't. It's our choice. But in the time space, how much time does it take to accept the blessing? How much space does it take? Wait a minute. The blessing just come in. Incoming message from the big giant turtle. What? Okay. And I'm thinking of the Turtle Clan in the original Turtle Island. But anyway, the big giant turtle just sent me a message and said, well, wait a minute. That was a lot of information. My head inside kind of felt like it was going to explode, but physically it didn't. So I received this energy from the universe, but I didn't explode. Where did the energy go? Did I absorb it? Am I using it? Did I become the energy of the universe? If you accept it, then you become it. Oh, well, wait a minute now. Now you have accepted and you're receiving. You accept and receive the energy from the universe. Then that means you have accepted being a part of the universe. And that you have accepted the sharing of the universal energy. It doesn't require any time necessarily, as far as great amounts of it. You have a wonderful thought, you send it out and let it go. A lot of continuous thinking on something doesn't necessarily make it good. A good, strong, positive, boom, push it out there is better than hours of because the droning just gets boring to the universe in a way. Now, we got a fan going crazy over here, making noise.
It's squirt.
We got a chirping fan over the heater. And it was working so well. Now it's making noise. But anyway, so in your reality, in your universe, in your whatever, consider what we've just talked about. Consider these other thoughts. Consider the energy. Is it being lost, exchanged? What do crystals do? They enhance our energy. They enhance our potential. And they are electromagnetical and vibrational and all that kind of thing. So from that standpoint, Does it require anything extra? Not really. And the more we understand this, that's how powerful we are. Oh, holy crap. Wait a minute. I can send a thought across this planet instantaneously, and it uses about the amount of energy in a grain of sugar. 1 grain of sugar. 1 grain of sugar. And that's all the energy it took to send a message across the universe, if you can accept that, because distance doesn't matter. It goes into the quantum. So does time actually matter anymore? We need to reconsider that. We need to reconsider what these other folks are trying to cram into our time, our own time space, because it's our reality, not theirs. Well, I'm going to make you turn your clock forward. No, the hell you ain't. I'm not changing. No, y'all change your stupid clocks. Y'all turn them back. Y'all fall back. Where did that hour go? Where'd that hour come from? They stole an hour and then gave it back to you. I mean, the whole thing is insanity in and of itself. If they changed all the clocks forward and said, we're going to leave it here, no falling back in the fall, I'd change my clock. But that's not the case. So they're messing with our brains and our auras and our energies. Do you know how much effort it takes for everybody to readjust 1 hour across the planet? Every year, twice a year? Could these crazy people be using our out of balancedness to screw with us? They give us flashing lights and commercials to make their products. Why not? I say we at least need to pay attention to it. When you become aware of a problem, the problem isn't as bad because now your awareness is there. And as you bring awareness to other people, the problem can be solved. So, my friends, let me read some of your comments. Enigma, how are you? Good to see you. My friend told me that if we put enough attention to our most desired thoughts, it could be manifest in the astral state. It could manifest in this state if enough is there. Enigma says, if that's true, then I have my own clone army in my void space, and they're waiting for me. Yeah, and we can take over the other clowns. Maybe we just show up in force, and then they'll just decide not to fight. Anyway, just a thought. Millie Cow, energy just is. We can learn to tap into it. Most of us are operating at a fraction of our potential, myself included, meaning Millie Cow, and me too as well. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is what I intuitively feel. Exactly, Millie Cow. And for all of us, as I have achieved a higher level of understanding, it also expands my, oh, holy crap, there's more to understand. So it's kind of exponential. You learn one thing and accept certain things, and then you kind of understand more. But when you start finding out that by just taking control, just by saying, you know what, I'm sorry, in our house, I ain't changing the clock. I just ain't, or not everybody can do that, but to the point, everybody can do that, and tell the politician, we think this is stupid. You interrupt our sleep pattern twice a year, cut it out. Oh, but no, we go along like it. I don't go along. So when you refuse to accept or reject what's coming out of the rest of the universe, what they're trying to push on us, agenda, if you will, I try to stay away from that word, but whatever their thought process behind it, oh, it's, well, this or that, well, then just change it forward and leave it. We'd all be much happier. It really wouldn't make a damn in the long run, in the long scheme of things. But the idea, though, that it's about controlling, they want to control. The thing that we need to do is that we are in control. We have to live within certain arrangements within their paradigm. When I was in jail, I was in their jail, but I was in my head. I was in my body. I was in my soul and my spirit. And I had to follow the rules, but I didn't do anything to compromise who I was. I stayed true to myself. I didn't bend over for nobody except when they had to check for drugs and stuff, and when everybody was bending over. Um, but there were no sexual favors on my part to try to get extra or something. Nah, I was like, oh no, not me. Mm-mm. Had it been a women's prison, maybe. But anyway, the idea though that they manipulate our time. If you're a minute late for work and the bell rings and you don't punch your time clock, what do they say? You're docked. You're docked. And what do they dock you? 10 minutes or 15, depending. And if you do it 3 times within a certain period, they fire you because you're a minute or 2 late from your work. I was fired from many jobs simply because I was late. Not because I didn't show up or call. I was just a minute or 2 late. Whoops, sorry, you're late. Bye. What? So when I realized that, oh my God, there are some people who are so anal about this time thing that they just literally, like, you're fired. You missed 3 days that you were late by 2 minutes and you're firing me? What about my work ethic? What about the fact that I stayed over 2 hours the other day to help finish the job? Well, that doesn't matter. You were late. Time. Does it really matter? Only to the people who are doing it. And they've set up a structure within their own paradigms and they force it on us that if you're a minute late, you've created a sin. You're now in the realm of the stupid late people. Well, I am welcome being in that group. I will continue to be late, even for my own funeral. So, for those folks who thought I'd be dead by now, you're still waiting. So I'm going to be late. But with late to what? Late using our energy, late to using our thought process, late to being dead, late to be first in line. I mean, there's a place here in locally. I think that they still do it, but they collect freebies, leftovers, and out of date stuff from local markets and places down here in the South, and the truck goes to different locations and drops off stuff. Well, I've seen people literally get into a fight to be first in line. Now, there would be these great big boxes with food stuffed in stacks. So down on the bottom could be watermelons. On the top of it could be strawberry muffins and blueberry, muffins and pastries. And in some instances, there was some meat, there were fresh vegetables. But these folks, looking for something free, fought each other to be at the front of the line. And I had a friend of mine, and I was like, it's free. Yeah, but I want to be first. Why? Well, I just do. Why? Well, I want to be on time. Why? There's always stuff left over. They always have lots more left over. Yeah, but I want to get the good stuff first. So I was like, you go right ahead. And I let everybody else go. And I'd be the last one in line to go through the stuff. And everybody'd say, well, it's been picked through. No, what they did was they pulled out the stuff on top. And then they started bringing out some goodies from the bottom of the box. And as I'm walking to my car with the free stuff that, they were going to give to somebody. And I'm like, well, I'll take that. When I realized I didn't have to be first to get the really good stuff, or the good stuff was still there, there was still plenty left over, I just let everybody else go. They fight. Go, you want to go ahead. Well, you were standing in line. Yeah, but if you're in that much of a freaking hurry, go ahead. Go ahead. Whatever it is that you got to have first, All right, I don't know if I necessarily want it. If I got something, I want some of that over there. There's pecan pies, but there's only 4 of them. Somebody go, I got one, I got one. 2 ladies were going to get into a fight over strawberry muffins or some kind of shit. I was like, are you crazy? But I want them. Greed is free. And if you were to stand back and notice that after you fight for position in line to grab your greedy little grubs on, after everybody leaves and at the end of the line, there's still just as much food left. And you don't have to fight. And actually, you can kind of go through and like, whoa, what's over there? Well, we haven't pulled that out of the box yet. Well, do you mind? Well, look, there's a whole case of somethings. Ooh, can I have some? Well, yeah, they're free. That's why we're here. And so all these other people get in their cars and drive away, and I'm getting strawberries out of the bottom because they were covered up by some other stuff. But everybody was such in a hurry to be first, they didn't get the good stuff on the bottom of the box. So I just like, go ahead, y'all, fight over it. And it's just insanity to me that people, and I think if they still, I quit going because I was like, I just can't see this. I can't see it. To get some free bread and some stuff, that's really cool. But to watch these people fight over position in line for free shit when there's always more than enough left over. Usually 75 people in line. There's enough food for another 75 people. Usually, after the fact, it gets sent to nursing homes and other groups and the prison and whatever. But the idea that these folks scramble for first, I don't get it. It's like, 1 minute late. Don't get it. Did anything happen? Well, my doctor is always 20 minutes late or more. So if I get there on time, I'm going to wait 20 minutes. If I get there 10 minutes early, I have to wait 30 minutes on her, not 20. So my friend got to be 10 minutes early to go to the doctor when she knows she's going to be 20 minutes late. So then she bitches, I had to wait 35 minutes for the doctor. I get there 10 minutes late. I only have to wait 15 minutes. What? I'm not stressed. I let everybody else boom, 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 boom. I walk in. Well, Doc's running late again tonight. Bunch of glitching going on. Bob, I guess it's about time for me to say adios on this subject. I'm extremely thirsty all of a sudden. But anyway, my dear friends, consider there's more to this story. Use your own thought process. Use your own energy. Understand that a simple thought, how powerful it is. Just the fact that you had the thought and that maybe it was a damn good idea. It might not be something that you can patent, but it fixed something. It got you out of a jam. It would help somebody with wording on a birthday card. I don't know, whatever it is, you have these thoughts. And where do you think that some of this is coming from? From the quantum, from the same area we all share. And how much does it cost us in distance and time? Nothing. So to wrap this up and to sort of sum this up, thoughts don't cost us anything in energy or time, other than the few little minutes, we have. It's not like all of our time is spent in thinking. Actually, it is. But when we focus and use our intent, when we put little pre-programs and subroutines in our subconscious so that we say prayers during the day without having to stop and say a prayer, when every day becomes a prayer, our every breath, our every moment becomes a prayer to the universe, then we don't have to, quote, stop and pray. We are simultaneously, we're simulcasting, if you will. We're maintaining in this realm, but as we walk, as we talk, as we work, we hum, we sing, we pray, we send out good energy to the universe, 2 things at the same time. Can you sing a happy song while you're working? Whistle while you work. Do 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 do. So if you can whistle while you work, then you can be happy and you can send out vibes, and you're doing two things at once. So you can send out good energy, and you can, you know. So it does exist. It can exist. It's our acceptance of it and whether or not we choose to do it. My friends, I'm going to wrap this up. Let me read y'all's comments. Y'all, good, some good folk out there. Keep up the good work. Yep, Bob is out of control. Hey, Chloe, how are you? Milka, I'm just starting to learn the ropes of manifestation, how thoughts, intention, faith, and etc. influence my life and where I'm heading. Navigating life happens beyond our awareness, exactly exploring the subconscious. Millie Cow, remember that everything is recorded in your subconscious. We just forgot. So that and tapping into it is just remembering. So it doesn't require a lot of energy. Mary Wynn says, I love Bob. Missed a few minutes. Love and favor for all of you. Thank you. Chloe, it's a gift that's beautiful. Enigma Prime, learning to control it instead of letting it control you. Yes. And awareness is where you start. Oh, holy crap, I'm aware of this. Well, wait a minute. If you're aware of it, then you don't have to necessarily go along with the trick, then, do you? Chloe, it's a gift that's beautiful. Yep. Okay. Moving on down. Millie Cow, saying how unconscious, subconscious thinking patterns are creating my life, good things and bad things. And Millie Cow, when you look at it, the subconscious is always there. When you just realize that, so you think, well, I don't know, something's making me feel this way. Maybe it's your subconscious. So you need to go, okay, well, all right, subconscious, show me what you got. And but stay on one subject. If something's tricking you, bothering you, you're having a little bit. Don't ask for a bunch of things like I want to give up cigarettes, smoking, and eating calamari or something. I don't know. So, but you just pick on one. I said this in an earlier video about the thought patterns and so forth, but it's true. When you use self hypnosis, when you use your own power to give yourself instructions, and so it's a repetition, it's a mantra, it's a prayer, if you will, for yourself. Um, I'm going to be strong and give up cigarettes. I will be strong and give up cigarettes. I am strong and I will give up cigarettes. So you just say that versus, well, I'm going to have a hard day smoking. I've been smoking for 50 years. Oh, fuck, this is going to be hard. Well, okay, if you do so, then there are people who say, well, you know what? I just decided one day to quit smoking. And they did. I have yet to achieve that on the smoking issue, but to the point, they made up their mind and did it. So it didn't require, patches and stuff. They just said, no more, and quit. So we have that power to manifest this with us. Hey, Jody, how are you? As a simple way to get a simple way to get way up to use a camera and helium balloons. Oh, yeah, that'd be a good way to get there. Absolutely. God bless all, says Chloe. Peace, love, and light. Thank you, Chloe. Millie Cow, just focus on one change at a time. Yes. Yes. One per day. Well, you can do several in a day, but one per session. If you're working on cigarettes, then work on something. And here's the other thing. In learning how to do this, always make sure that you set a goal you can reach. For example, you give yourself 30 cigarettes and you tell yourself, okay, that's a pack and a half. You give yourself 30 cigarettes a day. And then you say, by Friday, I'm only going to need 20 cigarettes. And do it. How you do it, what you do, however, but you decide that by Friday, you're only going to smoke 20. And, now here's the thing. I would save them. I had this limit before to where 10 cigarettes, half a pack, that was it. And there were some days I'd smoke a pack. But then the next day, I would only smoke 5 cigarettes all day long because I felt guilty for smoking too much the day before. It was my own internal argument. But when I was dishonest with myself, when I broke my own promise to me, I felt horrible and said, wait a minute, I said I was going to, But the thing is, don't feel guilty about it. Say, son of a bitch, I broke my rule. Do you want to do better tomorrow? Yes or no? Yes. So that you just stick with the positive. Don't whine about the fact that you smoked a whole pack. But the whole idea is to do better tomorrow. Today was an extenuating circumstance. I smoked the crap out of some cigarettes. I'm hoarse. My throat hurts. My lungs hurt. I can't fucking breathe. So tomorrow I choose to, I'm going to do a light smoking day. I'm just not going to, make up the decision, and then you have to follow through. For people who wish to manifest things, if you don't follow through on your thought patterns, you'll never manifest it. Because you can say, I've talked about this before about manifestation, but somebody brought it up and I think it's a good idea. Because as a director and as an artist with stories and puppetry, it all started out as an idea. I built puppets, made a story, and then I found a place to perform them and for an audience to listen and to laugh or cry or whatever the thing was. So I manifested it, but I had to make the puppets. I had to collect the parts. I had to think about the storyline. I had to think about the characters. Did I manifest it? Yes, but it wasn't just thinking. I had to actually do something. There are people who think they can manifest things without doing anything. That's not true. You have to. We ain't that good yet in just being able to, poof, I've got a new electric razor for Christmas in front of me. Whoa, look at that. I want a new Relco. Poof, I got a new shaver. It don't quite work that way. But you can manifest it by doing something for someone, coming up with an idea, may either having someone give you a gift, making the money, buying you one, but there are ways to manifest it. But if you're just going to sit there and dream about it, it ain't going to happen. Not unless you're a demigod or something. And even some of them have issues with making things just poof magically appear. You got to sell your soul for that shit. But to the point though, in this though, people who want to manifest things don't want to do any work. Well, I don't know why I can't manifest this. I thought about it. But did you do anything actively to, well, no. Did you make a phone call to find out about? No. Did you try to do something? No. Did you change your diet? No. Did you lose any weight? Well, no, I hate dieting. But did you try? Well, no. Well, instead of stop, here's the thing. There are people who say, but I love chocolate, but I eat too much of it. Okay, so limit it. Don't stop eating chocolate, but stick with your limitations. It's like, and Breaking Dawn, we pass this back and forth. There are cookies in here. They're fig bars. And there are certain times during the day, I'll get a little hunger pain. I'll eat a couple. That keeps me from having to go have a whole meal. And I've learned in my old age, I learned it a long time ago, it was easier for me to eat little bits along the way. Now, I would also submit that our pioneer folks knew that because they were foragers. They didn't carry tons of food with them. They picked up things along the way. They ate beef jerky and biscuits. They didn't carry frying pans and all this shit on their back. They couldn't. It would weigh them down and take too much energy. They foraged along the way. They picked roots. They did this. They shot a rabbit and they cooked it along the way. They didn't carry these vast amounts of food. No, but they knew how to eat a little bit through the day versus stop and have a full meal and weigh down and do this thing. We got this all wrong. Little bits along the way is the answer in old age. It's the answer to the new age diet thing. You want to lose weight? Just eat a couple of small portions during the day. You get a little hungry, have something that's not high in calories or something, but feed yourself for crying out loud. But it's a small amount.
Mhm.
So you have a little bit, whoop, the craving went down. All right, I'm going to have two. I'm going to stick to that. But that two is like, wow. And I'm going to be happy with it. I'm going to convince myself ahead of time that these two fig bars are going to fulfill me, at least for the time being. And then once that little craving goes away, you get a little bit of sugar rush and some of that stuff, and it helps to keep your blood sugar normalized versus eating lots, coming down, eating more, coming down, seesaw. When you level out your body, you level out your energy. You let a lot of stuff levels out. I mean, even your poo comes out better. I'm telling you. You have better bodily functions. You're not overcrowding your stomach with huge quantities that have to get processed and then, well, I don't know, anyway. But small quantities over a day, and allowing yourself and giving yourself a reward. So if you made it all day and you only smoked 10 cigarettes when you could have smoked more, but you chose not to, have a piece of candy bar. Now, I would buy these great big Hershey's bars that are like this big, and I rewarded myself with a chunk. They got the little things. I'd break off a chunk and break off a chunk, and that was my reward. So I had sweet, I had chocolate, but it was limited versus sitting down and eating the whole freaking candy bar. So, but the thing is so you don't deny yourself the pleasures, but you limit them, because what's the purpose of eating a whole candy bar? Isn't letting it melt in your mouth and so I got into textures. Breaking Dawn knows about this. I'll sit there and just put something in my mouth and just go, oh man, I just want to sit here and just hold this in my mouth for 10 minutes because it's the flavor blast that I get, it's the texture of it. And it's like, well, I'm good for till next month. I don't have to go back every day for that same thing. It gets old and then it's not fun anymore. I would much rather have something that I really enjoy, but only have it once a month, because then I can really enjoy it. And then it becomes special to me versus, well, I could eat a candy bar every day because I like them. Yeah, but should you? No, the answer for me was no, because I was 250 pounds and gaining and becoming very unhealthy, and decided to make a difference. Do I have candy bars? Well, not necessarily, but there are chocolate morsels on the door. We had some earlier. But you have a little bit of chocolate, you feed the thing, but you don't go nuts. Give yourself a reward, but always do it with
Balance in mind.
with what?
Balance in mind.
Yes, with balance in mind. Yes. Um, but also, if we overeat, it's because we're being greedy
Or trying to feel something.
or trying to fill something, but trying to fill something is being greedy because we keep wanting it. For whatever the reason we have the greed, is something we're not being fulfilled. So therefore we want more of it because we think it's going to fill up something. And that's in a way being greedy about that as well.
Mm.
Because what's the motivating factor? Something is missing, so we get greedy. Those people with free food, they're poor, they don't have any money, so they got to be first. They have to. There's something in this life, and if they can be first in line for free food, and it gives them a thrill, boom, they're there.
Mm.
Whereas to me, you got a couple loaves of free bread, I'm happy. What, you got some cinnamon buns over there? Oh yeah, I'll take some of those. Okay. You got some you got some fresh vegetables over there, a little bit of, yeah, okay, I'll have some of those. You got some overripe tomatoes? Okay, that'll go into a stew. Well, wow, okay. And happy with what you get, not where my place is in line. The fact that I'm able to be in line is a blessing in my point. And these are people at a church, by the way. So and some of these folks are supposed to be churchgoers. It's just drives me. It. I say it drives me nuts. I want to. I stand there and look at these people and go, really? I mean, really? I mean, really? So, but in their life, now I got to say, it ain't about color, but there's these two huge black women fighting over pecan swirls in a package that are a week old. I mean, literally going to fight over them. The two big, huge black women, and a little shorter than me, about 5'5" ish, fixing to have at it with all of that mammy stuff that goes on down in the South. And I will hit you with my shoe. And sister, if you don't think I won't pull a blade on you and cut you, I mean, oh my God, in the church parking lot over free food. Anyway, our energy and what we manifest, but we got to work on it, my friends. And I think that's I see people out there talking about manifesting things when in reality, they've already sort of manifested it, but they haven't done any work to make it come true. I can say, well, I'm going to direct a play, but if I don't show up for rehearsal, I ain't directed shit. If I say, I want to do a performance of something or whatever, having been in theater, if I don't show up for rehearsal, then where's the show? If I don't put out handbills and advertise that there's even going to be a show, what's the point of doing the show? So, but in order to manifest a good outcome, there are things you must do to help it be facilitated. There are people sometimes along the way we have to kindly ask for help and, endear them to join us, because I would have to get a cast and crew together to put a show together. And, sometimes there's 30, 40 people in some of these casts, and you get everybody to work together and not kill each other is like, that's, oh my God, what an accomplishment that is. And I have manifested that many times, but it takes work. But I have started out with a thought, but I had to send out notices, had to contact people. I had to work on putting the show together. Now, that's just my example of that. You want to manifest something, got to work on it. You can't just say, well, okay, God, throw it in my lap. It ain't going to work that way. Now, I got to say, there are people who've had shit fall in their lap, though, like that. And I'm like, there's a friend of mine, he took, I don't know, $20 and bought 3 or 4 $5 scratch offs and won $50 or $100 the other day. It's like, I do scratch offs. I get a free ticket. He's constantly, he's lucky with those damn tickets. Now, not every one of them does he get, but he's come home with $500 winner on a ticket. I come home with a ticket and I go, whoa, that's really cool. Yeah, I won $50 the other day. I lost $50 the other day trying to win $50. But, he got my 50. But anyway, some people are just uncommonly lucky, I gotta say. But hey, Dominic, how are you? I'm not choosing side either. Chloe, yep, you're ready to worry about is what's going on right now. I don't have to be worried. Just do your best and keep trying. Talk yourself out of things if you can, or talk yourself into something. It's always better when trying to get rid of the negative to start off with the positive. Well, I'm going to go on a diet. Why? Because your health sucks. You're 300 pounds, you're 4'2", and you look like this. I hope that doesn't describe any of you, but I do know people like this. And they go, well, my diet, and they eat twice as much in one sitting than I do all day long. And they wonder why they can't lose weight. And I go, but you just ate enough I'm sorry, your one meal I could have lasted me 2 whole days. but you can't lose any weight. Well, I exercised, I went to the gym, and then you went to the restaurant, and then you went through the line twice. I went through the line once and couldn't finish my plate recently, but
Mm.
15 years ago, I went through the line 3 times, not once, but 3 times, and was still hungry as I waddled out the door going, wow, I think I swiped a brownie and put it in my pocket. I'll eat this on the way back to work. What? I used to do that for real. So, but the thing is though, but if you're going to make up your mind to do something, you got to stick with it. Reward yourself. Make the goal achievable. If you're going to smoke, and I'm just using cigarettes because I can use it by the numbers. Say instead of eating a whole candy bar, I'm going to only eat a half a candy bar and put the other part in the refrigerator, or give the other half away, or don't just throw it away, but then save the other half of the candy bar to later. Or I'm only going to take a bite out of something, or there were times. Well, actually, a few days ago, we went to Arby's, and we both got sandwiches and whatever. But we saved our one. We ate one sandwich and then saved the other one, and it took me all day long to eat this thing because I ate half of it at a setting, put it back in the refrigerator because I accepted that was enough for the moment, and then went back in and got the other half. So one sandwich that normally I would have eaten 2 for a meal, one sandwich now lasts me 2 meals for a whole day. So can I be healthier with that? That's what I want to say about that. We replace the negative with the positive. Someone said, well, I got to lose weight. Why? I want to be healthier. So you say, I'm losing weight because I wish to be healthier. You say, I wish to be healthier, therefore I intend to lose weight. And so it doesn't become a negative thing. And if you allow yourself to replace something real sugary, gonna kill you with, like, instead of, I used to be one of these people, ate a half pound of bacon. Now I can't. Well, actually, there was bacon on that sandwich we had. But to the point, when was the last time I had bacon and eggs? Years. Because I watched some of my family members die from eating large portions of pork, and not me. You ain't getting me with heart trouble in that respect. Not that I won't have heart trouble, but I'm trying to mitigate my eating a lot of bacon and pork and grease and shit ain't good for you, So I changed my diet on purpose. Why? Because I saw my pops die at the age of 72, and I'm pushing where the age that he died, because he was overweight and his diet sucked, but that's what he enjoyed. He died eating happily. I'm content with what I eat, but I've made my peace with it. We were craving Arby's. It took us 2 weeks to get there. Okay. Was craving Chinese. It took 3 weeks to get there, but we had Chinese. And now I want, pizza, maybe tomorrow. But the thing is that I'm not going to die if I don't get it. I'm not going to fret about it. I got to have it now. Let me call up the people and they'll deliver it. Because I'm too freaking lazy to get my own goddamn car to go pick it up myself. That's how fat I am and ridiculously lazy. Oh, sorry. Sometimes tiny little rants crop up at my little discussions here, but don't know, kind of make you sick to some of this stuff. My friends, I love you. I do. And Butt Cramp Boogie is like singing its song right now down there on my butt cheeks with what little bit I have. Millie Cow says, my favorite way to make change is not to stop doing something, but do it a little bit less. Very good. A goal I will actually achieve. Excellent. And that's correct. Kind of like how I get up when my alarm goes off every day only because I set my alarm for late in the morning, just before noon. Dominic says Nestle chocolate is garbage now, like most things these days. Yeah, I agreed. But to my point, though, give yourself a reward of chocolate, depending on what you want to call it. That's why they call it the seven deadly sins, gluttony. Right. Yes, Chloe, you can eat chocolate without being a glutton. That's why the little Fig Newton things. Now there's store brand Fig Newtons, but the thing is I could sit here if I was hungry and just keep eating them until the whole damn thing is gone. But we open a pack in the last several days, of not damn near a week, between the two of us. Having here, one there, have a cup of coffee, eat a Fig Newton. But the thing is that, it's all about gluttony or not being gluttonous or greedy, which greedy is gluttony in just a different disguise. But yeah, and the point about rewarding yourself in understanding about changing behavior, always set a goal that you can reach. I'm going to lose 2 pounds this week. Now, but you can intend to lose 5. But you say to yourself, I will lose at least 2 pounds this week, but I'm going to push for 5. Now, so if you don't hit 5, but you do lose 2 pounds, dun, da, 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 you have reason to celebrate. And if you hit 5 pounds in losing weight or whatever, then you've exceeded your goal of 2 pounds and have reached that extended what you wish to manifest of losing 5 pounds. Or, for example, as when I ran track and played football and did a lot of weightlifting, I was, I'm going to do 100 pounds bench press, and I'm going to do 5, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to do a 5 rep, three combo. In other words, I'm going to do 5, rest, do 5 more, rest, do 5 more. Okay. So then in weightlifting, you say, tomorrow I'm going to do 6, 5, and 5. Then you do 7, 6, and 5. 3 reps. So then you get to the point now where the first one, where you're the strongest, you push a little farther. So you do 5 consistently. Then you do 6, 5, and 5. 7, 5, and 5. 7, 6, 5. 7, 7, 6. Until you can do 7, 7, 7. And you might be able to achieve it sooner. It depends on how well you're able to achieve your body mass and your strength. But you never go, I'm gonna add 10 pounds and I'm going to do 10 reps. That's stupid. You'll kill yourself. You'll strain a muscle. You'll hurt yourself more than you will gain. But if you slowly put the weights on and slowly build your repetitions up, your reps, how many times you repeat it, you will gain strength. It's the same with everything that you do in life. You learn, if you don't sit down to learn Spanish in one day, you learn how to say, what time is it? You learn how to say hola. Um, um, ¿Cómo estás? Y tú bien? ¿Cómo te, what time is it? I can't remember how to say it, but to the point though, you don't expect to learn the whole damn dictionary in one sitting. You learn a phrase and are happy with it. I'm going to learn a new sentence in Spanish. That's the goal. So you achieve the goal, you reach the goal, you manifest a reality, you manifest a positive outcome. Then you say, next time I'm going to learn 2 sentences. Then I'm going to be able to say a paragraph, but you build upon it. Now, if you have to throw time in the mix, okay, you may have a deadline to learn Spanish. Don't know. You could be going on a trip and you want to learn something. Don't know. But then you must learn it, put it on a fast track. You may have to put other things out of your way to learn this, to focus on it. In order to manifest what you want, you may have to focus on it more. You may have to take time out in order to achieve the distance. See how I brought that all the way back around? How about that one? Ain't I good? I'm crazy, is what it is. My friends, I do have butt cramps, and I honestly do need to say good morning, good night. It's 102 here in South Georgia, almost 2 hours at this particular subject. My friends, Chloe, Dominic, Millie Cow, Chloe, oh, Enigma. Let's see, who else did I miss? Breaking Dawn, of course, is here she's here in the house. Anybody else that I miss? All right, let me close, my friends. Oh, Michelle, there you are. Yeah. I knew there was somebody else hanging out that had been part of this. Y'all are wonderful. Keep up what you do. All right. Oh, Millie Cow. Yeah. Cereal is good too. Chloe, as long as you keep working on it, you'll get there. Yeah. Um, Self-control. Like I said, this is Enigma. Oop. Hamburger Helper is one of the very few cravings I got difficulty controlling. Like I said, I have self-control is beneficial, but it's not easy. That's true. But so the thing is, Enigma, you don't say you can't have it. You just have to have fewer hamburger helpers. That's all. Well, I'm going to have Thursdays as hamburger helper day and look forward to Thursdays and be happy with it. That's one of the things that I had to overcome myself is like, I wanted another piece of pie, but I already had one plus a meal. I had to accept that I was happy and content. Well, why do I need? Because it tastes so freaking good. All right, we'll save it for tomorrow. Come back tomorrow and have another piece versus trying to cram it in all at one time and carrying that crap home with me. And it all ends up as crap in the end anyway, right? So, okay, take pie home with you, put it in the freezer and thaw out a piece, but to like, oh, and I have been a gluttonous person. Trust me. And there are times when I got potato chips here and I will, if I'm not paying attention, I'll eat half a bag. When actually I just want a little bit of salt and I just want that crunchy flavor while I'm eating my sandwich. I don't want the whole bag of potato chips. But if I don't pay attention to what I'm doing, and if I'm just, had a bowl and I'm like, oh, these potato chips are really good, I've eat the whole bag. Unless, Don says, hey, hand me some of those too. But between us, we still haven't eaten this bag of potato chips is my point. Because we had a couple, are satisfied with the few that we eat, and are content till next time. And it takes a conscious effort, but once you understand that it ain't really as hard as it seems, when you accept it, wait a minute, I didn't say I couldn't have any. I just don't need that much. A handful of potato chips fixes my craving if I allow it to. A few, chocolate morsels fixes my chocolate craving. I don't have to eat a bag of Milk Duds or something, the big puffy milky. Anyway, yeah, those things. Oh my God. But to the point where we would sit down and do that. The chocolate milk ball things, the big things that come in the big can. Yeah, could literally sit down and eat a whole one of those things at one sitting myself. Now, shame on me. When just a couple of them, if I would allow myself the flavor of the chocolate and be content with it. But all of these things are triggers to us. It tastes so good, we got to have one more. To the point of making ourselves sick and throwing up. The gluttony part. But to the point, though, when we realize I can have this, but I choose to only have some, not all of it. That helps us spiritually. That helps us mentally. It helps us to achieve self-control, which is necessary for all of the above. So, my friends, Chloe, Michelle, y'all, thank you very much for hanging out with me these last, I can't believe 2 hours has went by again. Me and my big mouth, right? Michelle, Millie Cow, Chloe. Um, I use post-it notes all over everything in the house, like in drawers behind. I've done the same thing, Chloe.
Mm,
Oh my God.
mm,
We really do all have a lot in common in certain areas. You, me, Breaking Dawn. We've got a lot of little quirky things in common just in watching and having conversation with y'all. But you know what? It's perfectly all right. So, my friends, butt cramp screaming, and it's time to put a song together, I tell you, Michelle. it's time for butt. It's time for a butt cramp boogie. Gluteus maximus are screaming at the rest of me. Um, uh, my hamstrings are hamming and they're being stringy. But anyway, I digress. I love you all. I do. Have a safe and tomorrow and the rest of the week.
mhm.
It's going to be cold the next few days. Bundle up. If you know somebody that's cold, offer them a warm place. Cut some firewood for an old person. Come over to help us. No, it's okay. At the moment, we got it covered.
Yeah.
And it's fairly warm in the house considering how cold it is outside. I'm comfortable. So a little bit of heat goes a long way when you contain it.
Mm,
So my friends, my prayers, um, and no butt cramps. Yes, and I've got one work. I'm working on a butt cramp right now. So my friends, as always, prayers to you all. I mean it. I truly do. From myself and from Breaking Dawn sitting over here, we send our love and our prayers to you folks in hopes that you will continue to accept and receive the blessings, the healing, the knowledge, and the wisdom from the universe. Your friends, your family, your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and future, will accept and receive the blessings, the healing, the wisdom, and the knowledge from the universe. And we continue to pray that each and every one of you will accept and receive and continue to share the knowledge that's available in the universe for all of us. It's like butt cramp o'clock. Yes, Michelle, I'm playing the butt cramp boogie, honey. Whoa, let me tell you, gonna have to do some hamstring pulls here in a second. So from South Georgia at 1:10 in the morning time here on a Wednesday, we say TTFN for now, ta for now, my friends. And until next time, cheers.
cheers.
Be kind to one another. Be that compassionate observer. As Milky Way always says, be the frequency you want to be. And till next time, my friends, be safe, be kind, and always be in love. Till next time, I love you all. Bye.